In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to pass an AAPC certification exam when you are taking it via the online proctored option. Hey everyone, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator, and I know how difficult it can be to navigate these online proctored exams. Now, with the right tips and tricks, and if you subscribe to this channel, you can be fully prepared. So I'm going to tell you what worked really well for me so that you can be best prepared to pass your exam. Now, if you're new to medical billing and coding and you want to know if this is the right career path for you and what sort of training and certification and job outlook you should be expecting, sign up for my medical coding masterclass that I'll link below. The masterclass basically outlines like everything you need to know. What sort of training should I get? How long should it take? What salary expectations should I have? It's just like a complete roadmap on how do I go from someone who has no healthcare experience or maybe limited healthcare experience to being job ready as a medical coder in just a few months. It just takes away all of that guesswork. So definitely sign up for it, and it will lead you to also the premier medical coding training program that you definitely want to sign up for. Now, when I took the CPC exam, I had to drive out to Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is not super close to me because we didn't have any local locations. They didn't have those online exams yet. Online exams, I think, were always in the plan, but things tend to get pushed on the back burner a lot. So they got pushed on the back burner and pushed on the back burner until the pandemic hit. And then it seemed like the AAPC went, okay, well, we have to at least get our most popular certification, our biggest certification, the one everyone wants, the CPC, online. So they got that online, and then there was plans like, oh, we're going to put the rest of the certifications online. There was, some dates given, those dates passed. We didn't hear anything for a while. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, boom, they're ready. So currently, as of the recording of this video, you have the option to take your certification exams, any certification exams that the AAPC offers. We're not going to talk about AHEMA, the NHA, any other credentialing bodies. We are only talking about the AAPC here. You have the option to take those exams either in person or online. Now, that is within the United States. You might have it different in your country if you are outside the United States. And today I am going to focus specifically on the online platform. So of course, because the CPC exam was the only one online for so long and I already had my CPC, I couldn't get that firsthand experience to share with you on what that online proctored examination process was like. I always want to give you guys the best insight possible. So as soon as the rest of the certification exams went online, I signed up to take one of them. You can actually watch this video up here. I'll also link it below so that you can see what that process of signing up for the certification exam looks like. Now, here's how it went. So today I'm going to take my first AAPC certification exam online. I've taken all of my previous certifications in person, and now is the first time that I am going to experience the online platform. Now, previously I had said I was going to clear everything off of my office, but as you can see, that hasn't happened. I recently got a co-working space so that I can have some variety in my office setting, and it really helps me focus on some of that more intense work that I need to do, things like updating courses or planning. And as part of renting that desk space in the co-working office, I get 4 hours every month of usage of the conference room. So I figured it'd be a lot easier to just set up in the conference room versus having to clear everything off of my office and then put it back together. So I am packing up my webcam, I am packing up my books, and I'm going to link below all the stuff that I'm going to use as long as everything works okay for the exam so that you can have information on some of the tools that will work for you when you take a certification exam online. I also broke out my rolling cart here so that will help me transport all of those heavy coding books, and I'll link this below as well. So I'm going to finish packing up and then I will see you guys soon. Okay, so it looks like I have the whole office to myself today, which will be great. My desk is over here that I share. This is I love this spot here, but yeah. So this is kind of some of the shared areas that I have here. The other businesses, my little kitchenette area. And then I was going to borrow this space, which is soundproofed. It's, I guess, overflow room from the conference room, which is over here. So I figured this would be a great spot to do my exam. Oh, look, they all look. They left me a message. How sweet. So here is my setup. I still have a little bit before the exam starts. I hope they're okay with the fact that I have to plug in here. My phone I have to put away. But here's my HCPCS book, ICD-10-CM, CPT. I am allowed a medical dictionary for the exam that I'm taking. If you're taking the CPC or I think some of the other core credentials, you are not allowed to take a medical dictionary. Make sure you read your instructions carefully about what you are and are not allowed to take. Laptop directly plugged in. There is my external camera. You can see it's external. It is hooked up through USB and I have it on a stick so they can see everything that's going on. I hope they're okay that I have a little tiny fan running over here though, because it is a little bit stuffy and I don't want to get too sick. If not, we'll muster through. And then of course my drink. Oh, and my photo ID I have as my bookmark there in my med dictionary. You have to have your ID with you too. So yeah, I hope this is a good space for my certification exam. Okay, I just finished up with about a half hour to spare. There was someone here. I think I'm alone back in the office now. Not too bad. A lot of E&M on that exam, and I'm glad they didn't say anything because the distance was so far. I don't think they could hear it, but apparently I started hearing this noise, and at first I thought someone was outside playing music, and then I realized it was someone actually like playing music. So I don't know if you guys can see this. So way out there seems to be, in fact, some sort of festival going on or something. And there is live music being played. But I'm going to pack up. I'm going to go grab my groceries. It says I'm not going to have results in 7 to 10 business days. We'll see when results come, and then I will follow up with you guys and give you my final thoughts on the exam. Okay, so let's talk about the exam process. First, I am going to fully disclose, let the cat out of the bag. I did pass the Certified Family Practice Coder examination. Now, the first thing I want to say is you have to watch the instructional video that the AAPC sent you and really closely read all of their proctor information because you could easily get lost without having done that. I will again link the AAPC's video below so you can watch and be prepared. So let's talk about the process and then some of the pros versus the cons. First off, I struggled a little bit with the setup process. First, there's a pop-up that comes up about your screen share and they didn't tell me what it was, so I just started kind of like clicking on things, wondering why it was coming up and didn't realize that I was supposed to hit on my screen and then share it. So there was a little confusion around that. And they really do want to see the profile of you on your computer with your book spread out to make sure that they can see everything that's going on. So I was so glad that I got that selfie stick because I was able to move back the camera so that it was nice and wide and angle it in a way that was very convenient. I think if I had just bought an external webcam and tried to like set it next to me, it wouldn't have worked out. So I'm also going to link my affiliate links below for my setup because I know it works, so I can recommend that to you as well. So the point of the screen share, of course, is to make sure that you're not opening up Google or an encoder, and they do check your task manager too, so you have to know how to open up your task manager on your computer to show that you have no other applications running. They did let me keep my little desk fan on the desk. Again, it wasn't like right in front of me. It was like way off in the corner that I couldn't have even reached it if I wanted to. So that was nice. And once I did have to actually move my camera, I don't know if it kind of jiggled around while I was rustling my books, but they did at one point ask me to move my camera a little bit so they could see a better framing of me and the books and everything that was going on. I will also say that the individual that was proctoring remotely for me did have a very heavy Middle Eastern accent, so I'm glad that I read all of those proctor instructions ahead of time because if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have been able to make out what he was saying. As far as the flipping through the books, because of it being remote, the flipping really was more of a slowly flip through your book so they can check to make sure that there's not post-its or papers in your book. They couldn't really, I feel, check the content of the book. I don't have anything marked in my book, so I don't know if maybe I would have had a lot of notes if they would have asked me to go slower or show me some more of the content of what was written in my book, because I don't have a lot of notes written in my books. And currently you do need to use your physical paper books. E-books are not currently permitted for AAPC exams, but that may change going forward. Now, some of the pros of doing the online exam versus the in-person was it seemed to be a little bit of a faster process. There was no one there kind of bothering me or distracting me. And it seemed to go a little bit faster than the in-person exams. So when you take your in-person exams, you have little score sheets, little answer grids that you have to fill in all of your answers for. But before you even do that, there's this whole process of you have to write your name on the form. You have to bubble in your member ID and your exam number. And that takes some time. And if other people are very pokey and they're slow filling in their bubble grids, then it slows you down as well. So since that was all bypassed because everything was just verified online, you still have to bring your photo ID so they can check that. But other than that, there was just the proctor instruction. So it went, I think, a little bit faster. There was some time cut back even there versus the in-person exam. Now with the online exams, I kind of am getting the impression that you're not supposed to have a whiteboard anymore, but then it wasn't included as something that you were allowed to bring, but then at the end they were like, clear your whiteboard. So maybe it was just that instruction hadn't been corrected yet. But now there is like a notepad embedded in the exam. So if you remember Notepad in your computer, that's essentially what it's like, somewhere where you can type in notes. One of the tips there is make sure that if you need some more notepad space, because it'll open up maybe the size of a postage stamp, you can click on the corner of the window or the side of the window to expand it out so you can have more space to write some notes. So you could use this maybe if you want to write down a code, or if you want to do your process of elimination that way and type out A, B, C, D, and then as you eliminate C, you just backspace it or delete it out and do your process of elimination that way. So any kind of notes that you can write, you can do that, type them within the notepad. Another pro, and this is more so because of a change recently with the exam, is that you are now allowed to take a break. So if you need to go and grab a snack, go to the bathroom, take some medication, vape, you are allowed to take a break in the middle of the 4-hour exam. The clock will not stop though. I personally did not take a break. I just went through for the full, actually I think I used 3.5 hours until I was done with my exam, but you can take a break, that is permitted. So I would just make sure that you're letting your proctor know that you're about to take a break before you just up and leave. Now some of the cons, I think this may have been somewhat specific to maybe the certification I was taking since it was a specialty certification, but I could see this maybe going with some other certifications the AAPC offers, but instead of it just being questions 1 through 100, I had 20 some odd cases, and then there were 3 to 5 questions pertaining to each case. And by case, I mean it was essentially a note. It was an office note or an inpatient note or, an office and procedural note type of situation. And they would ask different questions about it. Maybe one would be like, what modifier should you use? What, level of E&M is this? What's the diagnosis code? And they were all pertaining to that same case. So it was harder for me to tell how far along I was in the exam because I wasn't on question, 75 of 100. I was on case 20, number 3. Another con was some of those embedded reference materials that they have within the exam were hard to navigate. A lot of the things with E&M, if I was scoring out an office visit, I would look at the different criteria in my book versus pulling up the embedded reference. For example, one question was to score out an exam based off of the 1997 Evaluation and Management Guidelines, which are based off of all of these different bullets. I couldn't look at the notes and the E&M reference at the same time, and it's really hard without a score sheet to count different exam areas of bullets and also look at the criteria. So I essentially had to guess for that question because it was just too hard to toggle back and forth, while also keeping track of how many bullets I was counting the criteria for. So not being able to have an interactive score sheet or even look at that note and the score sheet at the same time, big thumbs down there. And another consideration is because there wasn't any paper and you didn't have any writing instruments, it was hard to mark where you were. Like you couldn't, if you were flipping back and forth on pages, you couldn't like stick a pencil or something in your book or stick a sheet of paper in there to mark where you were because you weren't allowed any sort of materials like that. But I'm not one to tab my books, but I did have 2 little blank tabs basically in my books. So when I needed to flip back and forth with pages, I pulled the tab out and put it on that page so I could use it to kind of mark where I was flipping back and forth on. So that might be a strategy you could use as well if you just kept like a tab like this and just needed to flip back and forth. You could, because there's clearly nothing marked on here, you could maybe just mark your little tab with an extra one where you're kind of going back and forth on. Now last thing, and this isn't necessarily a con, but a huge, huge, huge point of caution is at the very end of the exam, there's just a button that says submit. And then when you submit it, you're done with the exam. Like everything's like, okay, here's your reference number and your name and blah, 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 blah. And there's no like pop-up that says like, hey, are you sure you want to finally submit this because this is going to be the end of the examination. It kind of is like almost at a situation where it looks almost like a next button. And I could see where you would easily hit maybe the submit button thinking it was the next button and then finalize your exam, but you wanted to go back and look at some of your questions again. So just be cautious when you're getting towards the end of the exam that when you hit that button, it's going to be done. Like that's the end of the exam. It's not going to pop up and warn you, and make sure that you're really, really done. And you could easily think that that's the next button and just accidentally submit your whole exam. Overall, I think there's still some work to be done, some fine tuning for these online exams, but you really cannot beat the flexibility and the availability of the exam. Really, you can take the exam when you are ready. You don't have to prepare around whenever the exam is available in your area. Also, if you're taking your training online, you're likely much more used to that online environment, and you'll probably be a little bit more relaxed and more comfortable taking an online examination. That's why if you're looking to get your CPC certification, you should sign up for my Masterclass and find out more about Preppy, which is an online at your own pace training program, and it is divine. You can prep on your own time and test on your own time, so that's pretty much a perfect pair. So are you going to be taking any AAPC certification exams online? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, just keep on coding on.